Here's my audience. 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so today I'm going to be giving a presentation over animal cruelty, the problems and solutions that develop from animal cruelty. Okay, so introduction. Okay, wild animals, they live freely, they're all hanging out. Okay, imagine being ripped up from your family, thrown into completely somewhere different, with a whole bunch of stuff that you're not used to, with limited mobility. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot, I don't think you would be so happy, right? Okay, so the main two problems that I have with this are within zoos and within SeaWorld. SeaWorld's awful, okay? But I'm going to explain to you and persuade you into why I feel like animal cruelty is not okay. Okay, John Hargrove, a trainer of 12 years dealing with the whales at SeaWorld, who quit SeaWorld in 2012, suffered from numerous bones and nearly destroyed his sinuses. It was a risk that he ran with his eyes wide open, and one that in the end he seems to feel was almost worth it. I owe those whales, he said in an interview. They gave me so much in my life and my career. But the whales' physical, emotional well-being, he grew to believe, was incompatible with captivity. Confined to unnatural social groups for the convenience of their owners, bored and restless, forced to perform tricks for food that trainers withheld as punishment. They occasionally slipped, he writes, into the dark side. Which I'm sure that all of us as human beings can relate to the dark side because we've all been depressed. So imagine not only being depressed, but being forced to do things that you don't want to do all the time, and with 1,000 people watching you do stuff that you don't want to do, and you can't be negative about it. You're supposed to be happy about it. This story was captured in an article by the Smithsonian. We all go to the zoo at least once in our life, or SeaWorld if some of us are luckier than others, like here with the fingers there. But have we ever really considered how the animals feel about being treated and being caged? I know I do, but that's because I'm a tree-hugging, well-living person. In an article in USA Today in 2015, it stated, despite discounts, promotions, and a marketing campaign to improve its image, attendance fell by 2% to 6.48 million compared to the same period a year ago. Net income plummeted 85% to 5.8 million. Revenue declined by 3% to 391.6 million. That was it. That was at SeaWorld. Imagine making $391.6 million off of someone or something that doesn't even know what's going on. I think that that's wrong. There's animal abuse that comes across all of our planet. There's like cat, dog, of course, like basic domestic abuse. But the thing that we really need to be worried about is how people are unintentionally profiting and not realizing that they're helping feed this wrongness. It's wrong. Like I said, the two most common places in which I want to discuss are the zoo and SeaWorld. I think that the zoo doesn't keep the animals in proper captivity, and I don't feel like they treat them properly. So 3 ways in which I think that maybe they could help that is to help change the habitats. But the definition of zoo is an establishment that maintains a collection of wild animals, typically in a park or gardens, for study, conservation, or display to the public. So you notice, display to the public. There has been, the death of multiple animals. Like across in England, there was the death of a famous child elephant, and no one did anything about it other than shut the zoo down. They later opened the zoo back up, but come on. Problem 2 is SeaWorld not caring about the animals more than the money. By not caring, not putting themselves in the animal's shoes, not caring about whether or not they're going, okay, imagine being stuck in a jail cell with somebody from Japan that only spoke Japanese, and that's the only first team taught you. It's wrong. They need to consider the animals more. Citation 3. David Stout mentions the companies decided not to renew the contract based on shifting priorities, meaning Southwest Airlines recently terminated a contract with SeaWorld. Well, there was a video that came out called Blackfish. That was one of the trainer guy that was talking about this. He's the one who wrote about Blackfish and wrote about how horrible SeaWorld was. After several reports and proof that there's still breeding whales in captivity, no one's done anything. Although there's not much about it publicly in the news, I feel like it should be mentioned. The next question is, how can I help these innocent animals? They're just trying to live a normal life. Solutions, for the zoo that is, there are many ways to create a more realistic environment. Larger habitats with actual family members, not as much interaction with human beings. They're not used to that. key to keeping the zoos open and to keep the animals happy. In order to keep the zoo open, you probably should keep the animals happy because no one wants to stare at a gorilla that's over there crying because they totally have feelings too. I think there should be more employee education and training. I think that more people should join together and focus on animal rights versus the enjoyment of the public and that everyone's just watching. It's so funny. And then solution 2 is SeaWorld taking better care of their animals. Techniques Connecting Education and Careers, March 2000, Volume 75, Issue 3. For that week, they work side by side with the trainers. 1 week is all you have to do in order to be a SeaWorld trainer. To swim with killer whales, you have to have 1 week of training. Wrong. Wrong. This guy, he said he worked 12 years with them, and then the killer whale killed the lady. 12 years. Could have been him. They need larger structures, if not to completely let them free. I feel like they should have a rehabilitation center in which they have part of the ocean cut off so that they can slowly, recreationally get them in the ocean, let them go. If you see something suspicious with the trainers or the animals, I think people should report that. I think that more people should be educated on how inhumane this is for the animal, because whether or not people look at how the animal feels, it clearly has feelings, and it doesn't like being in a cage. Citation 5, Orca Protection Bill will put an end to SeaWorld's Shamu show, stated a former marine mammal trainer, Samantha Bird, has spoken out in favor of Schiff's proposal. I saw firsthand how orcas suffer in captivity, Mrs. Berg said. No amount of toys, larger takes, better veterinary care, or love and attention from their trainers will ever come close to stimulating richness of their lives in the ocean and being free. I hope today that you've learned better to protect yourselves and your family. When it's time for your next meal, stop and think about your own preparation techniques in the home or the restaurant. Who you have chosen? Oh, that's the wrong thing. Okay, this is my PowerPoint. This is clearly a chicken, and this is what it looks like when it's not taken care of correctly, and then this is a free chicken. And then here we have lions and monkeys and a dog, and it says, help neglected animals leave their old lives behind. And I have a video to show you. It's actually from part of Blackfish.
February 2010. Tilikum, a 12,000-pound killer whale, drags trainer Don Branchow underwater and dismembers her.
He never let go of the arm. He swallowed it.
More than 3 years after that awful incident, a new documentary is out that looks into her death and questions SeaWorld operations.
What happened to her really could have happened to anybody.
Blackfish claims Branchow's death wasn't an isolated incident. The Tilikum was involved in the deaths of 2 other people before her, one prior to SeaWorld owning the whale. And it documents other frightening moments in SeaWorld involving different orcas.
Both whales took turns dragging her under the water. It shows how dangerous it is.
John Hargrove and Jeff Ventry are among the multiple former SeaWorld trainers who speak out in the film. They're accusing SeaWorld of putting profit ahead of trainer safety, and they now believe confining killer whales for a lifetime is cruel.
Captivity definitely, without a doubt, increases the stress level of these animals, and stress leads to frustration. Frustration leads to aggression.
We now know that they live in such strong nuclear families. To pull them out of that environment where human entertainment is basically old school.
The film contains what it says is archival video of young orcas captured in the wild to populate SeaWorld.
It's heartbreaking. Every time you see it, it tears your heart out.
The film shows what it says are images of whales born in captivity at SeaWorld being forcibly separated from their mothers. Ex-trainer Carol Ray told me she saw it happen once and can't forget the mother's reaction.
The screaming and crying that she did by herself in the pool that night, I cried on my way home.
The filmmakers say SeaWorld declined repeated requests for an on-camera interview. Same for us at CNN, but in a lengthy statement provided, SeaWorld blasted the film as, quote, shamefully dishonest, deliberately misleading, and scientifically inaccurate. It goes on to say, quote, SeaWorld is proud of its legacy of supporting marine science and environmental awareness in general, and the cause of killer whales in particular.
Killer whales are high.
Director Gabriella Calvert-Waite spent 2 years working on Blackfish. She believes it's time SeaWorld evolves their parks.
Turn them into rehabilitation release centers, make sea pens where you can kind of cordon off part of the ocean cove and release whales into that so they can keep an eye on them. They can play a very heroic role in the future. I would hope that they were being inspired to do that.
CNN Films has purchased the TV rights for the documentary. It will air on the network on October 24th. Tori Dunnan, CNN, Los Angeles.
You notice that there, the CNN actually picked up all the rights to that video, so I mean, it's gotta mean something. Moral of the story is, how would you like to be ripped away from your family, stuffed into a cage with some other crazy people, or vice versa? I mean, you wouldn't like it, so I think it's time that we should all, as human beings, consider the animals' feelings. Thank you. And 1, and 2, and 3.